Hello, and thank you for joining me for this yoga session. This week we're going to be practicing chair yoga. Chairs can be a wonderful prop. They can be used to make poses easier, but you can also use them to make poses more challenging or to add a little variety to your practice. The other nice thing about chair yoga is it gives you all kinds of ways of stretching that you can incorporate into day-to-day life, like at a restaurant or sitting at home watching TV anytime you're sitting in a chair. It can also be a nice break when you're doing computer work to take a few minutes without even getting up out of your chair necessarily to do some yoga. So I've got a fairly firm chair. I have one with arms. That isn't necessary, but it gives you a few more options. And I'm going to sit deep in the chair, walking my sit bones back and then straightening up, broadening, not leaning back or slumping into the chair. And I lean forward just enough that I'm not leaning into the back of the chair. I'm using my core. Feet hip width, the heels under the knees or slightly behind the knees. And then the hands can rest on the arms of the chair or in your lap. Float the chest, firm the abdomen, broaden the shoulders. Draw the base of the throat back as you float the chest up and lengthen the back of the neck. Then maintain as much of that as you can, but without the effort. Begin to soften, relax without slumping. Bring your attention to your face now. Allow the eyelids to close softly, gently, without squeezing them shut. Release the bottom jaw, letting the bottom jaw hang, slack-jawed. Breathing diaphragmatically, taking the breath down deep into the lower abdomen. Soften the space behind the eyeballs, the jaws, the lips, the tongue. And then gently, delicately begin to float your head around to the left or to the right. Not stretching anything, just relaxing. Moving the head just far enough that you can feel the first hint of resistance in the neck muscles, and then relaxing and moving around on that edge. Today we'll be stretching the neck a little bit, but first we want to make sure we're relaxing the muscles before we start to stretch them. So keep coming back to gentle, soft movements. Create sensations that have a relaxing effect. Five or six more breaths. And coming back to neutral. Opening your eyes. So now we can use the chair to anchor one shoulder as we begin to work on stretching the neck. When you work on stretching the neck, make sure that you don't overdo it, otherwise you'll be sore tomorrow. You want to make sure the muscle is relaxing, not resisting. Okay? Take your right hand and just reach over the side of your chair, and then find somewhere at the base of the chair, or you could slide your hand down the back leg, or if the shoulder doesn't reach back that far, the front leg. And then holding on to that, lift through the chest and lean away to the left. Take your chest forward, roll the right shoulder back and down, and lift through the collarbones. And then just very gently take your head over just enough to get a stretch. Now you can move the stretch into different parts of the neck by rotating. If I rotate my chin to the right and lift the chin up slightly and push the chest forward slightly, I bring the stretch down into the throat. And really what's important here isn't the top of your head, it's the lower jaw. So take your lower jaw and extend it slightly and lift it slightly. Now begin to rotate your head slowly. If it starts to get a little bit intense, lift your head a little higher as you continue until you're dropping your ear over the left shoulder. And the stretch is now felt more in the side of the neck. And then with that right shoulder, draw it back as you lean away. Try to find a way of using the chair and using gravity and your body weight to create the stretch with the least effort. So you can really focus on relaxing. Now begin to rotate your chin to the left and down slightly, and notice how the stretch begins to move into the back of the neck. Leaning away from the anchored shoulder. Couple more breaths. And then we're going to go back the other direction a little faster. Just take a breath or two to rotate. And then lift the chin. And coming back up, bring the right hand into your lap or onto the arm of the chair. Take a moment and see if you can notice any subtle differences between the right side and the left side of your body. Second side. Take your left hand and drop it over the arm to the outside of the chair, and then find a good anchor point. Further back on the chair is good if your shoulder is healthy. If you're having shoulder issues though, you may need to come forward or up on that anchor point. Lift through the collarbones, and then after you've lengthened, then begin to lean a little bit until you feel the shoulder being pulled. Roll that left shoulder back and down and lift through both collarbones, lean away. Bring the stretch into the side of the neck by letting your head tilt over slightly. Keep focusing on relaxing your jaws, your lips, your tongue, your mouth, the eyeballs, the space behind the eyeballs. Slowly begin to rotate your chin to the left and lift your chin. Your bottom jaw is what's important here. So take your bottom jaw and extend it out and up until you get just the right amount of stretch. Move the stretch around in the throat slowly, gently, trying to spread the stretch out like you would spread butter out over a piece of toast. Try and move the sensation around to different areas of the muscle. And then slowly begin to rotate until it is your ear that's dropping over the right shoulder. Keep lengthening the spine, don't collapse. Keep rolling that left shoulder back and down. Micro movements in the head and shoulders and neck just to create a little variety in the sensation. And then continue to rotate, taking your chin slowly down and around towards the right shoulder. Chest forward and up, left shoulder back and down. And then explore moving the sensation around in the back of the neck. And always being careful not to strain. This should feel pleasant, not unpleasant. Take a breath or two. And then reverse directions, going a little faster, rotating until your ear is over, drawing the stretch into the side of the neck, and then continuing, lifting the chin up and away until the stretch is in the throat. And coming up and out. Bring your hands back to the inside of the arms of the chair. Take a breath or two. Notice how everything's feeling. Good. Now, even when we're gentle with the neck, sometimes it'll have a trigger where it starts to tighten a little bit if we stretch it. So we want to make sure we calm down that gripping in the neck muscles, having stretched. So we're going to take the tip of the nose and we're going to move it in an infinity sign or figure 8 turn sideways. And to start with, you can make that a slow, big movement. And then reverse directions. Now the purpose of the movement is to create sensations that feel healthy and have a relaxing, calming effect on the neck. So anything you need to do to adjust to make that true. Okay. Now, if that felt okay, try to make the movement a little smaller now and a little looser. And you'll see very commonly in India, sometimes when you see them moving their head side to side, you'll notice that it's not this. They're actually doing a little infinity sign with the tip of their nose. Now, if you go too fast, it actually tightens the neck muscles. But if you find just the right speed, it has a relaxing effect on the neck and shoulders. And then reverse directions. And then come back to center, roll out your shoulders. Try to move from the shoulder blades. Okay, good. Now we'll try the neck movement, that little infinity sign again. And in India, this is a signal of agreement, that they're listening and agreeing or supporting you. It's not a negative, it's a positive movement. Okay. And the one thing that was missing the first time around was that I wasn't smiling. And you almost always see people smiling when they're doing this movement. So this time, smile and move your head in a loose, fluid, wave-like way, and then reverse directions. And then roll out the shoulders. Good. So chairs can be used to exaggerate or increase the stretch in the neck muscles. We can also use them to anchor the legs and thereby anchor the pelvis so that we can get a nicer twist. Now to do this, I'll come forward in the chair slightly, maybe into the middle of the chair, and then I'm going to walk both feet to the right, move my hips a little to the left if there's leeway to do so, until I'm wedged. Okay. Now I'm going to lift, broaden, rotate, and my left hand is going to reach around for the arm, the front arm, and the right arm is going to reach around for the back of the chair. Now I'm going to use both arms as leverage to help lengthen the spine and to rotate. Now as I rotate, lift the chest, roll that right shoulder back and down. Make sure this is feeling pleasant and healthy. Now in this position, complete breath or a complete back breath if you remember how. If you aren't familiar with the breathing, you can view the pranayama series, especially the first 4 parts of that, which is on my website. One more complete breath. And easing up, coming back to center. And then this time take your knees all the way to the right, move your hips to the left. When you're wedged, begin to lift and rotate. Right hand reaching for the arm of the chair, left hand reaching around behind you, grabbing the back of the chair. Lift and rotate. And again, breathing into this with a complete breath or complete back breath. Three or 4 more nice, slow, deep breaths. Coming back to center. Now we can work with cat-cow. There's 2 variations. If you have arms on the chair, you can grab the arms of the chair, or you can grab your knees. Either way is fine. And then you're going to use that as leverage to pull your belly forward, lift your chest up, and then you're going to roll the shoulders back and down. Look up slightly, but don't drop the head back. Keep your chin close to your chest. Lift the chest towards the chin. Breathe in. Now, go the opposite direction. Drop your kidneys back into the chair. Lower your head. Bring the shoulders forward. Make the front of your body smaller and expand the back of your body. Exhale. Now with your own breathing. On the inhale, open through the front of your body and use your hands to pull, to exaggerate that, and draw the shoulders back and down. On the exhale, rounding. Couple more repetitions with your own rhythm of breathing. Back to neutral. Take a moment to notice the effects of that and of the yoga in general. Now from a seated position, we can also do quite a bit with the legs. And the first thing we want to do is see if we can work into the outer hip and outer thigh. I'm going to straighten the left leg a little bit. I'm going to come forward in the chair slightly. So now I'm in the front half of the chair, maybe even a little further forward. And then as I straighten the left leg, the knee is going to lower a little bit. Now the question is, can you cross your right foot over the left knee comfortably? Okay. If you can experiment with pulling up on the knee and pulling your belly forward, or you can push down on the knee. And then as you lean forward, you'll start to pick up more stretch in the right hip. Now another way to make this a little more challenging is to walk your left heel in closer. And as you do that, it lifts up on that foot and increases the stretch. Now this is a muscle that takes a little time to really open up and stretch. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being intense, find a 2, maybe a 3. And then breathe and relax. And you can kind of move your knee a little left or right, or you can lean your body left or right. or back off or lean in. Add a little variety to the sensations you're creating. Do that in such a way that it has a calming effect. With each exhale, stretch the exhale into a sigh. Four or five more breaths. Make sure that your knee joint is happy, not complaining. Two or three breaths. And coming up, switching out. Come forward if you need to. Straighten the right leg. Cross the left ankle over. Start with a gentle stretch. Experiment with pulling up on the knee or pushing down on the left knee. Leaning forward or backing off for left or right. If it's a little intense, walk the right foot forward. If it's too easy, walk the right heel under until you pick up just the right amount of stretch. Lengthen the exhale slightly. Take 5 or 10 more breaths. Take a couple more breaths. And coming back up, and then bringing both feet back to the ground. Now, while we're sitting on the chair, we can also work with opening up the inner groin. Sit back just enough that you have about an inch of chair in front of the groin, in front of the pubic bone. And then you can either put your heel on that point or you can cross the foot over. And this time, work on pushing down on the knee. If you're tight, your knee may be a little higher. And that's okay. Pull the knee into your chest and then lower it. Pull it in, lower it until it feels okay to push on it. If you feel it gripping, lift the knee, bounce it. Lift it high enough that as you bounce it, the grip in the groin disappears. And then come into it more carefully. Stop a little sooner. And then work your way in much more slowly and carefully. And if it grips, do the same thing again. Lift, bounce. And when the grip releases, slowly come back in. 2 or 3 more breaths. And then slowly let the knee come up enough that you can release your foot to the ground. Cross to the opposite side. You can either bring your heel onto the chair, the front of the chair, or you can cross the leg over the right thigh. pull the left knee in. Get a little stretch in the hip, outer thigh buttocks. And then begin to lower the knee. If it grips, just keep lifting, bouncing, and lowering. And if everything feels okay, begin to push down on the knee. You can do an isometric stretch by pushing the knee up into your hand and pushing the hand down into the knee. And then you can let the knee win as the hand comes up a little bit, and then let the hand win as the knee gives ground and lowers. Five or six more breaths. Couple more breaths. Pull the knee up enough that you can release your foot to the floor. Spread your feet wide, wider than the shoulders. Come up onto the edge of your chair. Now, we'll be leaning forward, and you want to be in the chair as far forward as you can without feeling like the chair is going to slip out from under you. So for instance, if you have a wooden chair on tiles with no friction, no sticky mat, that's not stable, and so you might need to sit a little deeper in that chair. Just make sure that as you lean forward, the chair is not going to slip back on you. Now, with your hands on your knees or on your thighs, do a miniature cobra. Lift through, almost upward facing dog. Roll the shoulders back and down. With your hands, press down and pull on the knees, and use that to move your chest forward, shoulders down, back and down. And then tilting forward, and then engage your back muscles a little bit so you're getting a similar action to a cobra. Then round the back, exhale, a couple more times. So it's kind of like cat-cow, only it feels a little bit more like cobra as you come through. One more time. Come back to neutral. Now if you watch the elbows, we allow the elbows to help us find the action. So as I pull through, the elbows draw in and back. And then as I round the back, I take the elbows, I flare them out as I drop my head and open the back of the body. So the elbows are moving as I'm working through these two positions. Couple more repetitions. Try to do the movement to create the right sensations now. Don't think of the movement being right or wrong. Think of the sensations you're creating as either right or wrong. Adjust the movement to create sensations that feel right. Come back to neutral. Now relaxing into a forward bend. First time with the knees bent. Again, you want to be fairly far up on the chair, but still stable. Now, I don't slump into the forward bend. I lift through the sternum, and then I try to really lengthen out. And with your hands, you can help pull your chest through. Lower not the head, but the abdomen. Supporting your weight with your hands on your thighs, and leaning in just enough to find a pleasant stretch. If it feels better to bring your hands to the floor and lean into a deeper stretch, that's fine. Take 5 or 10 more breaths. using your hands to support you as you come back to an upright seated position. Now work with stretching the hamstrings. Straighten your legs, staying forward on your chair. Straighten your legs about maybe 70%, keeping them slightly bent. And then just tilting forward. And again, making sure that that chair isn't going to slip out from behind you. And then see if you can lean forward just enough to pick up a little stretch in the back of the legs without any sensation behind the knee. Use your arms to support the weight of your upper body. Two or three breaths. Now before you come up, take a moment just to notice the position of your knees, how wide they are. Come back up. Okay. So for some people, their knees prefer to come in as they're stretching their hamstrings. Other people, their knees prefer to go out as they stretch, and this accesses different areas of the muscles. So if your knees were a little bit wider, bring them in this time. Likewise, if they were in a little bit, spread them a little wider, and then try it again. So getting just a slightly different stretch. Use your hands to help hold the new position for the legs, so they don't slip out into their default position. 4 or 5 breaths. Back upright. Walking your feet in and then repositioning your hips, sinking back a little deeper in the chair. And now we'll finish this series with a side stretch, and we'll do it in a similar way that we did the neck stretch. Take your right hand, reach over the side, find an anchor point. Raise the left arm. Take your chest forward and up. Take the left shoulder back, especially the inner armpit back. And then you can use the right arm to support yourself as you lean to the right. Open the left side of the rib cage. Couple of breaths. Now in this position, a slight rotation just to make it interesting. Bring the right shoulder forward slightly, left shoulder back slightly. So you're looking to the left more. Lifting the chest, twisting slightly. Come back to the side and then go the opposite way and flare and reach out through the left shoulder blade, opening the upper back. The ribs move to the left. The left shoulder reaches to the right. Come back to center, lower the hand to the outside of the chair. Float the right arm. Lift through the collarbones. Flare the right rib cage. The ribs move a little to the right. The shoulder reaches to the left. Taking the inner armpit back. Oh. Open through the front of the body by taking your chest forward, taking the right shoulder back slightly, turning your head to the right. And then come back to the side, and then bring the stretch into the back, the upper back. Coming back upright. Place your hands on your knees. Take a breath or two. I'm going to work a little bit now with chair pose. And we'll do chair pose sitting in a chair. And for those that want to work a little harder, take as much weight off the chair as you can without losing contact. Okay? So don't actually lift off the chair, but just sit lighter and lighter. Okay. One way to help kind of conceptualize this, imagine that you had a 3-year-old sitting on your lap, and then they insisted that you sat on their lap. Okay? You would pretend to sit on their lap. You'd actually be sitting on their lap, but you'll carry most of the weight in your legs. So similar here. Come forward on your chair about halfway, so you're in the middle of the chair. And then feet hip width, spread the toes wide. Lean forward with your hands on your knees. Support your weight to start with. Lift the shoulders, roll them back. Draw the shoulder blades together and down as you lift the chest up. Bring the base of the throat back. And then either keep your hands there or float your arms out and begin to lift and pull from the shoulders, not the hands. Pulling the shoulders back. Now, shift your weight forward until your quadriceps are working. And take as much weight out of the chair as you can without losing contact with the chair. Bring your shoulders back. Lengthen through the spine. 3 more breaths. One more breath. And lower the hands. Spread your knees wider. Come forward halfway, pause. Good. Lengthening the spine, lowering through the abdomen rather than the head. Supporting weight with your hands on the thighs or dropping between the knees and releasing the head and hanging into a deeper stretch. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, roll back up to a comfortable seated position. Position your feet, spread the toes, tilt forward, roll the shoulders up, back, together, and down, and lift the chest up. Bring the base of the throat back. To start with, keep your hands on the knees. And then shift your weight forward until the weight starts to come out of the chair and engage. So now your hips aren't really resting on the chair. You're carrying the weight on your quadriceps. Now when you are maybe 60% tired, and you still have a little bit of juice left, add the upper body. Bring the shoulders back, chest forward and up. Try to find the shoulder blades, draw them back and down. 3 more breaths. Breathe deep. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. And release. Walk your feet wider. Tilt forward. Hands support. First, lengthen through the spine And then keeping extension, especially through the lower abdominal region, as you begin to lean out and release between your knees and hang into a forward bend. And when you're ready, place your hands on your thighs and using your arms to support as you roll back up. Sitting in the middle of your chair now. Take a breath or two to notice how you're feeling. So we're going to come to standing. Turning our chair sideways. And coming around behind the chair. Place your hands on the back of the chair. Walk your feet back. Sink the chest. And then position your feet so that when your torso is fully extended, your heels are under your hips. Feet spread hip width, anchor the big toes, spread little toes wide, lift the arches, sink the belly, lift the tailbone. Now notice, do you feel any sensation in the back of the knee? And if you feel anything behind the knee, bend your knees slightly so that the sensation stays in the belly of the muscle. As you sink your chest down, float the inner armpits up. Even better is if you can move from the shoulder blades, lifting the shoulder blades, broadening the shoulders, sinking the chest. 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. And coming back up. Now we can use the chair to support us in Trikonasana and other standing poses. And we'll use it just to steady ourselves to start with. So staying behind your chair, spread your feet wide. Turn the right foot out 90 degrees. Lift the left heel, take it wide, set it down. So as you move your hips to the left, tilt the pelvis. Draw the stretch into the back of the right leg. Again, bend the knee just enough to prevent stretching out the ligaments behind the knee. And then with your hands supporting you on the chair, take just your right hand and bring it down to your thigh, or to your knee, or to your shin, wherever you're comfortable. The left hand can stay on the back of the chair to steady yourself. Sometimes if we don't feel safe, if we don't feel secure, we tense and you don't get the benefits of the pose or feel the pose in the right way. So by holding on to the chair, it can allow you to let go of the balance aspect and relax in and feel the rest of the pose. For those of you who feel steady in your balance and prefer, you can float the left arm off the chair and come into the full pose. 5 or 6 more breaths. Spiral the legs. Lengthen, broaden, open through the torso. Expand everything, including your breath and your prana. Take a couple more breaths. And coming up. Turn the right foot in. Lift the right heel, take it wide. Set it down. Turn the left foot out 90 degrees. Swing your hips to the left, tilt the pelvis. Left knee straight or bent slightly, depending on how it's feeling. Use the chair just enough that you aren't wobbling, that you aren't staying tight or struggling with balance, so you're free to focus on other things, like spiraling the legs, broadening the groin, opening the hips, expanding the torso. And then those of you that prefer to float the arm off the chair, that's fine. Two or three more breaths. And coming up. Stepping your feet together. Now working with Revolt Triangle. We'll start off with angle. So again, staying behind the chair and stepping your right foot up maybe 12 inches behind the back of the chair, and then take your left leg back as if you're going to do triangle pose, but not quite as wide. Just stepping that foot forward just a little bit. And then also move your left foot to the left just a few inches extra. Now the back foot should be turned in at about 60 degrees so that we can begin to rotate the hips to face straight ahead. As you do that, your hips may swing a little to the left until your left hip is lined up with your left heel and the right hip is lined up with the right heel. Place your hands on the back of the chair. Now, keeping your pelvis facing the chair, begin to reach the left sit bone back until you find a stretch in the back of the leg. There's a temptation to bring your hips and upper body forward and down, compressing, shortening the body. And this allows us to escape the stretch, which is exactly what we don't want. We want the stretch. So instead of collapsing and impinging on the joints and putting pressure on the discs and the nerves, instead find the stretch by reaching the hip back, lifting the tailbone, sinking the belly. Keeping your back nice and straight, 2 or 3 more breaths. Those of you that wish to bring your hands behind your back and grab your elbows or put your hands in prayer position, that's fine. For most people though, hands on the chair to steady yourself so you can focus on creating a safe, healthy, pleasant stretch where you need it. 1 more breath. And step the left foot up to where the right foot is and step the right foot back. Turn the right foot in at 60 degrees. Move it out to the right just an inch or 2 so that you can rotate the hips to face straight ahead. And again, left hip lining up with left heel, right hip lining up with right heel. And then, without letting the upper body come forward, instead reach the hips back. There'll be a tendency for your hips to start to rotate to the right a little bit as you're doing this, so bring the right hip forward slightly as you reach the left hip back. Lift the sit bone, sink the belly. Now one side can be very different from the second side, so on this side, try and find a position where the sensations you're creating feel gentle, pleasant, healthy, not straining. Those of you that feel really stable and want to, you can reach behind and grab your elbows or bring your hands into a prayer position. But for the rest of you, hands on the chair to steady yourself. 2 or 3 more breaths. Remember, create the stretch by reaching the right hip back, sinking the belly, keeping the spine long. And stepping back up. And Tadasana for a few moments. So now Revolt Triangle is built on angle. So we start off with angle and then we add the twist. When we twist, we don't want to twist about the shoulder. If I keep my shoulder anchored and then I twist, it throws me off balance. So as the right shoulder goes back, the left shoulder has to come forward. So I'm rotating on the spine as opposed to rotating on the shoulder. Now when I'm using my hands to support me, if I don't move the hand, then the shoulder is anchored and then I pivot on the shoulder joint. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to walk my hands across the back of the chair so that the bottom shoulder is coming forward as the top shoulder is going back. Okay? And same here, walking the hand through. Okay. So we'll step the right foot forward, step the left leg back. Turn the left foot in at 60 degrees, start off with angle, and then notice where your chair is in respect to you, and either move your chair to the right or move your upper body, your feet, to the left, so that your foot is lined up with the left side of the chair. Rotate your hips, start with angle. Reach the hips back, lift the tailbone, sink the belly, and then from here, either keep your hand where it is or come down onto your forearm. Roll the left shoulder back and then walk the right arm along the chair at the same speed that you're rolling the right shoulder back. So the left arm walks along the chair, the right shoulder rolls back until we're in a twist. You can either leave your left hand on your sacrum or your right hand on the sacrum, or you can extend through the arm. Now we want to use our legs to ground us, so press down through both feet, down and out, and take some of the weight off of the left arm so you're using your core. 2 or 3 breaths. Coming back to center. If you find this is too easy, you can turn your chair sideways and use the arm of the chair, or turn it around and use the seat of the chair instead of the back. This time moving over to the right a little bit, so that when you step the left foot forward, it's aligned with the right side of the chair. Start with angle, rotate, reach the hips back, sink the belly, lengthen the chest. Take a breath or two. Find some stability with your legs, pushing down and out through both legs. And then either walking your left hand through or putting your forearm on the chair and walking through. Now as the right shoulder is coming forward, the left shoulder is rolling back. Keep pressing through both feet and taking some of the weight out of the arm, so you aren't leaning into the chair more than you need to. 2 or 3 more breaths. Float the arm out if you prefer. One more breath. And then coming back. And coming back to table. Walk your feet back. Sink your chest. Lift the shoulder blades and inner armpits up as you sink the chest down. Knees bent slightly. Now try and relax into this so you're comfortable, not straining. Two or three breaths. Now we're going to do one more pose where we'll work a little bit, Virabhadrasana 3. And again, you can work on the back of your chair, or you can choose to work on the arms of the chair. You use the forward arm. Start off with table. Sink the chest, lift the shoulder blades, and then take your toes on your right foot, spread them wide, shift your weight to the right, and then take the left leg back, up slightly, roll the left hip down as you lift the thigh up. Now, see if you can lift one shoulder blade and then the other, and maybe take the weight off the chair. If you're getting into trouble, lower the leg enough, bend the left knee if you need to, the right knee as well. Lean on the chair as much as you need to. So the pose for some of you may look more like this, holding on to the chair and just lifting one leg. Take a breath or two. Experiment with rolling the left hip down or up just to see where you get a contraction in the back muscles that feels right to you. Switch legs. And again, the safer, easier position is to hold on to the chair. Sink the chest, lift the leg. This time the right leg is lifting. Roll the right hip up or down. Those of you that want the full pose, extend your arms. Sink the chest, lift the armpits, and take as much weight out of the hands as you can comfortably. Couple more breaths. And then coming into a supported forward bend, use your hands on the chair to support some of your weight. But this time bend the elbows, bend the knees slightly, and then sink through. Breathe deep, stretch the exhale. If you prefer to let go of the chair, that's fine. Stretch the exhalation, 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. Then the knees roll back up to standing. So next we'll work with a substitute for the back roll. This is something that you can do without going to the trouble of getting down on the floor and rolling up a blanket. And if you find the right chair, this can be quite effective. You want a chair that has a fairly firm back, so a wood chair or something without too much padding on the back. And then you'll need some firm pillows, or in this case I'm just going to use a blanket. And I'm going to start off just sitting into the chair. I sit back deep, and then I raise my arms, interlace my fingers behind my neck, and then I just lean back and I let the chair press forward on the upper and mid-thoracic region of the spine, and I lean back with my head and my elbows and my shoulders to create a little bit of a stretch. Take a breath or two. And then come forward. Now, by sitting on top of a folded blanket or firm pillow, we can lift the spine up, which means the chair will hit us a little higher on the back. Now, as I lift a little bit higher, you'll notice instantly that you don't feel quite as stable because your center of gravity is a little bit higher now. so the chair won't be as stable. So use a little common sense, and as you lean back, if it feels like your chair is wanting to tip over, that's because your chair is. So don't lean back so far that you get nervous or uncomfortable, or you feel like the chair may be in danger of tipping over. You can lean a little left, you can lean a little to the right. Those of you that prefer to do a regular back roll, feel free, just as we're working here, feel free on your own to work with the back roll. Two or three more breaths. Coming up. Then hold on to the arms of the chair and use that to brace and kind of push your shoulders back. Don't let the head flop back. Keep the back of your neck long. Come forward. Good. So now, instead of folding the blanket in half, I'm going to fold it in thirds, getting a little higher, or you could add an extra pillow. You just want to go up about an inch, not too much higher. And then once again, interlace your fingers. And to the degree that you feel safe, leaning back. You can rock a little side to side. Feel the vertebra that is in contact with the back of the chair. And don't just let the chair push the vertebra towards the sternum. Actively try to draw that vertebra forward towards your sternum. And take everything else above that edge and lean it back. Two or three breaths. If it feels good, you can even bounce a little bit. And coming up. If you get lightheaded, spread the knees, lean forward, place your arms on your thighs, and lower your head. Okay. Now for those of you that feel safe enough and you can feel that your chair is stable enough, add another thin blanket, just elevating the spine another inch. And repeating one more time. One of the nice things about this is you can just take a little break anytime you're sitting in a chair, and you can do a little back bend throughout the day. Three or four breaths. Try to help the chair push that vertebra forward as the rest of the spine drops back. And then coming back up to center. Forward bend, coming forward in your chair. Those of you doing a back roll, continue on your own. You're welcome to do any type of a practice now, including Cobra and down dog, spinal twist, and then your own Shavasana. and finish the class out on your own. Those of you that are staying with the chair yoga, spread your knees, lengthening the spine, extending through the front of the torso as you lean forward, supporting weight with your hands on your thighs. And then slowly relaxing into a forward bend. If you have any strain or discomfort, come up a little higher, support weight with your hands on your thighs. If it feels better to lean in to the stretch, you can bring your hands to the floor. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. When you're ready to come back to sitting, place your hands on your thighs and then using your hands to support you as you roll back up. Finish with a short meditation. And a lot of people try to sit on the floor to meditate and get into trouble. They end up hurting their knees or their hips or other parts of the body. Other people don't meditate because they can't get comfortable. There's absolutely no reason you can't meditate comfortably in a chair. But comfort's the main thing, but also not slumping. We want to keep the spine nice and straight. So take a moment, and if you have a pillow or blanket, see whether you feel comfortable sitting without any support underneath you, or if you need a little bit of support. Those of you who have strong backs, just come forward an inch with your sit bones, tilt the pelvis forward, lengthen the spine, open your chest, and then place your hands on the arms of the chair or in your lap or on your knees, whatever feels more comfortable to you. Those of you that know that your back muscles are going to start to fatigue, roll up a blanket a little bit and then experiment putting that blanket behind you and experiment with how low or how high it is. And we want to give just the low back a little support without supporting the rest of the body, so that we keep the low back from collapsing. We keep the low back pushed forward slightly so that we can sit comfortably. Feet under the knees. Check your feet for symmetry. Spread the toes, set them down. Close your eyes without squeezing or trapping tension. Soften your face, your jaws, your lips, your tongue, your mouth. The eyeballs, the space behind the eyeballs. Notice the temptation to slump, and instead of struggling to maintain length and expansiveness, instead let yourself slump, and then without any effort just see if you can float a little bit higher, broader, float into better posture but without the effort, and let that be enough. When you find the right position, which as you build strength will change over time, but for today, the right position is the position that has the best posture that you can relax into. So if it's not perfect, that's okay. But it shouldn't be your default slumping position. Floating up out of that as much as you can without effort. What is required is awareness, not brute force. So anytime the mind wanders, come back to your posture. With the least amount of physical effort, through awareness and floating, try to float into a more perfect posture, where everything is balanced and the prana flows and the effort falls away, where the breath is easy and full and smooth and fluid. Relaxing your feet, ankles, calves, knees, and thighs. Fingers, hands, arms, and shoulders. And as we sit in the chair, we're going to undulate. But it'll be so subtle, someone watching closely wouldn't notice. On your exhale, you're going to slump 1%, not visibly. And on the inhale, you're going to expand and lift and improve your posture 1%. Imagine someone, as you breathe in, blowing air into a balloon that's already fairly full, so that as you breathe in, the balloon gets just a little bigger, more expansive. And as you breathe out, some of the air leaks out just a little bit. So although the balloon is full of air the whole time, it still expands and contracts ever so slightly. If your mind wanders, come back to this meditation. Continue to experiment, adjusting your shoulder blades, your neck, your head, your chest, but at 1%. So that even someone watching wouldn't see that you're adjusting and moving. And let each adjustment take you closer to a perfect position where any effort falls away. But your posture becomes more open, more free. And slowly coming back to your posture, to your breathing. Noticing how you feel physically, emotionally, energetically. Quality of consciousness and prana, or energy. And then opening your eyes. So chair yoga is a wonderful complement to any yoga practice. It's nice to have a chair yoga routine that you like, so that on days when you aren't 100% healthy, you can still practice yoga. But you can also use chair yoga to make poses more challenging, or to go into deeper poses or hold poses a little bit longer. So it doesn't have to be used to make things easier. And it also can make a wonderful platform sitting in a chair for meditation for anyone that finds that the seated positions become a distraction to you. Meditation is hard enough without physically being distracted by the body. I'd like to thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bringing your hands together over the heart. Namaste.